Today on the channel, the horror of Dracula with Peter Cushing, NECA Ultimate Van Helsing.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another NECA Ultimate unboxing and review. And today on the channel, we drop the hammer with Van Helsing Ultimate Edition. But for all your Van Helsing needs and a whole lot more, make sure you're hitting Entertainment Earth. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10% on all in-stock items, anything over $79. Does ship free. Got to get a deal out there. And of course, Van Helsing played by Peter Cushing. We all know Peter Cushing. If you're a kid like me, growing up in the 80s, or I guess maybe even the 70s, depending, you remember him, of course, from Star Wars as Grand Moff Tarkin. It's wild to think how big of an actor he was prior to that role, obviously. But for a whole generation, that's, especially in America, I should say, that's what a lot of kids know him from. And whenever I see him for the first time after, I was like, wait a minute, that's Grand Moff Tarkin, where a lot of people usually put him with some of his other roles, like the Hammer horror films of old in the 60s, 70s. You get the idea right there. But we always love the NECA horror stuff, especially the Universal Monster stuff. You know, my dad, he's all in on the Universal Monsters, but he wouldn't even think about coming over here for a Van Helsing unboxing. He turns his nose up and turns his collar up at the same time, says, you know what anything to do with this Peter Cushing Hammer stuff. And you know what we say, you like what you like, you don't what you don't. He is not a Hammer guy, but I'll drop the hammer here. I've been dropping the hammer since the early 90s when I got my first pair of parachute pants. And of course, you can't touch this MC Hammer style as well. Shout out to the Oakland A's, shout out to Peter Cushing, and shout out to how we're going to do this unboxing. We're going to do this unboxing like we do all the other unboxings on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. And this one, wild enough, I found it at my local Best Buy store. Yes, Best Buy, still apparently having a buys every once in a while there. So I did pick up old Van Helsing, and of course we'll compare this to a little Christopher Lee Dracula, a little peanut butter and jelly at the end of the day later in this review. But you got the old school poster there. Of course, it does say the horror of Dracula, and we know about the Hammer films, introducing a lot more gore than we definitely saw in the Universal Monster titles, of course. But looking cool, very old school, timey poster there. Not as old as Universal Monsters, once again, but very, very cool. Very, a time and place is what I always think of with a lot of the Hammer horror films. Very cool, and they still do hold up. I've watched a few as of recently there, but looking good on the front. Horror of Dracula, NECA on the side, and there's classic Van Helsing here. Love the different looks, just like we've got with Vincent Price, Christopher Lee as Dracula. We get a lot of different looks on this one as well. Horror of Dracula on the side. On the back, look at that, all kinds of stuff. Just very fabulous packaging. Absolutely do love it. It does say on the back, includes interchangeable heads, hands, gloves, upper torso for alternate look, candle holders, stake, bundle of stakes, hammer, and a cross. And it's the sign on the Southern Cross, like a young Ronnie James Dio and Black Sabbath. Looking good right here on the inside. There it is, old Van Helsing getting ready to do his dirty work. He's going to put an end to this Dracula. That's exactly what he's going to end up doing. Pull this out. Pull it out here. I do save my packaging on these. So I'm going to go behind the back, gentle skyhook behind the back. A move that we haven't seen in a long time, as we do know right there. And there it is. All right, get it out. There it is. There's the torso, upper torso for alternate look. How about that right there? And then, of course, Van Helsing himself, ready to go in the plastic prison. I'm going to take this offline, get all these twist ties, oh, so many twist ties, out of this one, and we'll be back talking all things Van Helsing. All right, it's time to hunt Dracula with Van Helsing. Let's dive into it. Let's see what's going on. We do got a couple of candlestick holders right here. Interesting enough. Not sure if we really needed this one. I guess it was part of the decor, part of the set, but no candles with this one either. So mix and match, but you do have some of this. One of those accessories, maybe you'd use with something else if you really wanted to as well, but you do got two of those going there. We do got a hammer, of course. Oh, he's going to drop the hammer. It is Hammer Films, Hammer Time. MC Hammer is the theme of this one here as well. Nice hammer, got the wooden handle, of course, the metal at the top. Use this with another toy line if you want to. Along the way, you gotta have the cross. Of course, you know Dracula. He hates those crosses. Pull that out, and oh my gosh, there it is. He's got the cross ready to go. Quite the climactic scene back in that movie. If you've seen it or never seen it, it's worth a watch, of course. He pulls the drapes off on there, and Dracula, oh my gosh, the sun. Quite the scene between two horror legends, two horror icons, of course. But you got to have that with him. And of course, you're going to fight Dracula. You better have some stakes. You got a bundle of stakes right here, ready to go. And then you got one separate one. So you're going to drive that right in the heart. You're going to grab that hammer and you're going to hammer that thing in. Or just hope you get a good angle and it goes right in on the first strike, I guess. But very cool to get the stakes. You got to have these if you're a vampire hunter. You better have a briefcase full of those if you ask me as well. Extra hands here. We do got 2 gripping hands without the gloves on. 2 plain Jane gripping hands ready to go there. Then you do got the gloved hands here for the different looks, of course. 2 gripping hands, 2 gripping hands. So all kinds of gripping hands ready to go, I guess. So you got extra gripping hands right there in the gloves. Now diving into the figure itself, diving into the head sculpts as well. And I guess we'll start with the figure itself right here. We do get a very stereotypical Englishman is what this looks like. So mix it in with a street scene, mix it in with your Jack the Ripper playset, whatever you want to do. But very stereotypical here. But at the same time, very Peter Cushing, very Van Helsing right here. Almost said very Van Halen. Very Eddie Van Halen right here. But no, very, very Van Helsing looking here. Really looks like he walked out of there. They do a fabulous job with these head sculpts. And I think it was at San Diego Comic-Con last year we saw this figure for the first time, if I'm not mistaken. But looking fabulous here. Love the top hat on there as well. Extra touch of class, of course. And I do actually prefer the hat is molded into the head. The hat is not removable. I like that. We got other hats or other heads right here that we can move things around if we want to, but I like that this one is stuck on there. Looks very good, very stoic look. Got those blue eyes, Pearson blue eyes, like a young Dusty Rhodes. Blue-eyed soul right there. 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose, and a mouth. Playing all those Van Helsing, Peter Cushing hits. Love that head there. Now the second head, a little bit on his way to Grand Moff Tarkin is what this one looks like. Got those deep set eyes there. Once again, blue. You got a haircut you could set my grandma's watch to all day long. 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose, a mouth. Once again, very stoic, very similar head to this one. Basically almost the same face, just no hat. How do you like it? Choose your own adventure. And then the third and final head here is really what I think of with Van Helsing, with the hair a little bit disheveled right there. He's fighting out. He's taking it to Dracula. You got quite the mean mugging look. He's showing some of them chompers, showing those teeth off. He's got a distressed face, and you'd be distressed too if you were going toe-to-toe with Dracula, there's no doubt. But looking very good. 2 eyes, 2 ears, nose, and a mouth. Love the blue eyes on this one. Piercing your soul. Very, very cool. And I guess we'll dive into the body here. Now, the body does attach here. You can pull it at the halfway. We'll see if we can do it. But you got the nice vest, you got the tie, you got the white shirt with the rolled up sleeves. He's ready to go. You got the 2 slapping hands. He's going to slap Dracula in the face before he stakes him. Got the rings on the finger. I like to see that as well. Nice attention to detail. Very, very cool. And once again, almost makes you want to buy 2 of these to display both looks. A little 2-in-1 action. Maybe a little of that long game. I'm still on the hunt for a couple of more Vincent Prices. Going to pick up 2 more of those along the way sometime. Might pick up another one of these down the road. We'll see what ends up happening. But 3 fabulous heads on this figure, I will say. Now, how hard... Oh my gosh, that's not going anywhere. You got the twist at the waist, but how do you get that body out? I'm not exactly sure. That's the $1 million question. Somebody get Ted DiBiase in here. Oh my gosh, I'm pulling and I'm not getting anywhere. So I guess you got to try to heat it up. Now the jacket's not removable. The jacket doesn't unclip or anything, so you got to be careful you don't rip it. A little bit hard to get that out there, so I'm going to have to, I guess, heat it up. But how do you exactly heat it up? Because you got the coat over the top, but I guess you'll have to heat the coat up. Going to be interesting. Hopefully I can get that out. Hopefully nothing breaks, all that kind of stuff. We'll see what happens in the glamour shots with that there. But man, kind of shocked how hard that is to remove. I figured that would just kind of plug and play pretty easy, but going to have to definitely heat it up if yours is like mine. Does got the little scarf kind of over the top there, and then you got the fur-lined coat here. Like, once again, very stereotypical Englishman from a guy from the Midwest, I guess. Looking good. You got the gloved hands going on, looking nice. Got the buttons on the coat, a little extra attention to detail there. Black pants, black shoes, just a guy walking down the street. Not a ton of personality here. Cool for what it is, but I feel like there's a lot more personality in this torso, and especially this last head sculpt we went over there. Arms going to go all the way around for us, of course. Single jointed elbow, side to side, back and forth. Hands back and forth, side to side. Head back and forth, side to side, removable. You do got nice waist articulation. You got a little bit of legs up, down, back, forth, side to side. Limited by this coat, not as limited if you use that torso, obviously. Single jointed knee, side to side at the knee, ankles back, forth, side to side, up and down. The usual articulation is what we're going to call that one right there. He does fit on a Mattel ringside collectible stand, of course. Use discount code Kyle, save yourself 10%. But there it is, Peter Cushing's Van Helsing, looking very good. And then I did bring it up earlier. How about a little Grand Moff Tarkin? That's what we think of right there. Looking good. Quite the size difference between these two. That's a wild size difference. But absolutely came into Peter Cushing in my brain as a kid in this role. Went back many years later, found out all about all this horror stuff and stuff. So very interesting when you find out a character from one thing and realize they had a whole lifetime of acting in a prior life in a lot of ways. So very cool to see that. And of course, you got to have Christopher Lee Dracula, an amazing figure, one of the best NECA horror figures of all time. Yes, of all time. You got Dracula, you got Van Helsing, they're ready to square off. You know, the size difference is interesting here. However, Christopher Lee was a bit of a giant, especially when you got guys like Tom Cruise that are like 4'8", if I'm not mistaken. Christopher Lee, like at 6'4", 6'5", something like that. He's a big dude. So very cool to see these two together. Very cool to have some more Hammer horror in the collection. It'd be very interesting come San Diego Comic-Con timeframe if we see some more from the Hammer horror. Will we get a Hammer Frankenstein, which could go either way, a Dr. Frankenstein even. Could we get a few other things? The werewolf, I would be here for some of that stuff from Hammer. Going to be interesting. We'll have to stay tuned to that. But there it is, Peter Cushing's Van Helsing. What do you guys think of this brand new NECA Ultimate Edition? Worth a pickup for you? Hard pass, easy pass, no pass. I'm picking it up. I'm going to my Best Buy right now. Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out my new book, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It is The Complete Guide to the ECW Original San Francisco Toy Makers by yours truly. Hit me up if you want an autographed copy. Of course, my copies come with a nice bookmark and a sticker to the brand new podcast, The Kyle Peterson Show, every single Tuesday on YouTube and wherever podcasts are found. Me and my wife, Angie, playing the Ed McMahon role, is there, and we're diving into some stuff every single week, every Tuesday, wherever you find your podcast and video cast here on YouTube. Appreciate the support over there, and appreciate everybody over on Patreon for early access to everything I do between both channels, the podcast, you name it, a one-stop shop over there on Patreon. And best of all, you do support the channel. You can also support the channel, PrestonTees.com, search Kyle Peterson, SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, and now on TikTok. So for Van Helsing, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?